first of all, what is your reaction to this attack on your country?
Thank you. This is an act of aggression. This is an unprovoked, unwarranted act of aggression that is targeting innocent people, civilian infrastructure. This morning, one of the first missiles that targeted Iran, in fact, targeted a primary school in Minab, Hormozgan province, southern Iran, and it killed more than 70 innocent little girls. Still, there are tens of people, tens of little girls under the rubble. So this was not the first case. Many other buildings, medical centers were also hit by American and Israeli act of aggression during the course of today.
There are also reports that many senior leaders in Iran have been killed. Does that include the supreme leader? Is the supreme leader still alive, and is the president still alive?
Thanks to God, they are all safe and sound. Yes, we have had some martyrs, some commanders who have been martyred as the result of this terrorist act of aggression. But what matters is that the Iranian nation, our armed forces, our brave armed forces, are taking necessary measures to defend Iran in the most strongest way possible.
Isn't the truth that you could have avoided this by simply doing a deal with the United States and saying you would never have a nuclear weapon? President Trump was never going to allow you to have a nuclear weapon, and there was a chance to do a deal.
How many times has Iran said that we would not seek nuclear weapon? Come on. We made a deal in 2015, but 3 years later, in 2018, the United States withdrew from the deal unilaterally. Again, during the past 9 months, we entered into negotiations with the United States. You remember in June, we were in the middle of the negotiations, and we have always said that Iran is not seeking nuclear weapons. Just show me one single report by the IAEA that can certify Iran's deviating from peaceful purposes. That's a big lie that has been propagated by the United States, by Israeli lobby inside the United States for the past 4 decades, that Iran is going to have nuclear weapon. There is no nuclear weapon. Iran has never sought to have nuclear weapons, period.
But President Trump is arguing that you are not taking the talks seriously. America considers you a threat. Israel clearly considers you a threat. And you are also, it is now obvious, are a threat to your own people, having killed so many people simply trying to protest and express their freedom of speech.
That's not true.
Which part of that?
Come on, both of them. You Europeans, the European Union, European countries always regard themselves as the custodian of the rule of law. Show me just one single rule of law or logic that if one country regards another country as a threat, they are allowed under international law simply to launch an attack.
But
what kind of threat? Come on, what kind of threat do you think Iran was posing to the United States? Did we go to the Gulf of Mexico to attack the United States? They have come from 6,500 miles away to our shore.
Right.
They have created so many military bases around Iran, and right now they are attacking Iran. And you are saying that Iran is a threat to Israel and to the United States?
Well, you're clearly a threat to Israel. You want to destroy Israel. Now, President Trump wants regime change.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Because
no, come on. Please do not change the facts. It was the Israel and the United States that attacked Iran, not vice versa. In June, they attacked Iran. Right now, they are telling everyone clearly that we launched an attack against Iran. It was not Iran that launched an attack against the United States or Israel.
But the position now is that President Trump is clearly after regime change. He wants the people of Iran to rise up and overthrow the government. Do you think that could happen?
That's an illusion. That's, again, an unlawful act of aggression. That's against the right of self-determination of the people. The Iranian nation decided 47 years ago to overthrow the dictatorship that was supported by the United States. The Iranian nation knows how to take care of their destiny. It is not for any outsiders to claim that they are trying to help Iranian nation. Our people saw it by their own eyes when the United States tried to help us by killing innocent girls in Minab and other cities.
Right.
The junior schoolers were massacred in many cities in Iran. That was the kind of help that the United States are going to provide to Iranians. And by the way, that I think more or less this is the same help that perhaps they did it in 1953 when they launched the coup d'etat against Iran.
But when you have killed so many people, thousands of people, in those,
it's a lie. It's a lie.
We have reports.
We gave a number. No, it's a lie.
We have reports of 6,400, and the suggestion is many more.
No, the exact number was 3,170%.
Well, even if it's that, it's a lot of people.
Of course it is. Even one precious life matters for us. But you have to tell this to the American administrations, to the Israelis, who agitated the public. They were part of this turning into violence, the peaceful protest. The peaceful protest was turned into violence by Israeli and American agents who were carrying weapons and who were killing peaceful protesters. Yeah. They have to be accountable for many of these killings.
But it wasn't the Americans and the Israelis killing the innocent protesters. It was the Iranian authorities.
It was their agents. Come on, their agents.
Let me just ask you about Qatar and Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states who are saying that your attacks on those countries today, Qatar has said an unacceptable act of aggression. The Saudis are calling the attacks cowardly. You're antagonizing key intermediaries in this dispute with the United States.
We are not attacking any of our neighbors. What we are doing is in exercise of our right of self-defense against the American and Israeli act of aggression. In fact, the United States is abusing the soil, the territory of our neighbors in order to carry out this unlawful act of aggression. And as I said, we attach high importance to our friendly relations with our neighbors in the Persian Gulf region. This morning, Minister Arakchi talked to his counterparts and assured them that these strikes has nothing to do with these countries. It is only targeting the bases that are the source of American aggression against Iran.
How long do you think you can survive in this war? How long can you defend yourself for?
We have to defend ourselves. We have no other choice other than defending ourselves with all might.
Can you see the talks ever resuming after what has happened?
We prefer right now to focus on defending our territory, defending our national security, defending our people.
And just finally, is it the intention of Iran to effectively close the Straits of Hormuz?
As I said, right now, we are focusing on how to defend in the best way possible our people and our territory against this act of aggression. Our armed forces understand, our armed forces decide how best to defend our territory and our sovereignty against this act of aggression.
But could that include effectively closing the Straits of Hormuz?
As I said, the way we would defend ourselves depends on the decision by our brave armed forces.